Yeah, all right. I will get started. As I mentioned to the first that joined this little webinar here, um, we have invested in something called Click Meeting, which is a platform that is developed in Poland. I have played around with it for a week time or two, and it's really great. So now I hope it also works when we are going live here. So I will start a presentation that I will use as my backdrop for what we're going to talk about. There will also be live demos, don't worry. So first of all, welcome. We have for a long time wanted to do something like this because we're actually quite proud of what we have developed. I am Morten. I'm the founder and the editor of Inkish, both Inkish TV and Inkish News. I'm 54 years old, a few months more. I'm married to Nina, and I have 3 wonderful kids. We live just south of Copenhagen. Though my wife would probably say that I don't live here anymore because I'm traveling more than I'm home, at least in 2022. We had more than 200 days out visiting printing companies and trade shows and vendors and yeah, just wonderful time. This week we were with Schätzl Print Emotion in Germany, and next week we are in South Africa, and then we have a trip to the US before we go into Hunkler Innovation Days, which is my favorite event of all. So Matthias, if you're blushing, I can't see you, but I know that you are doing a great work for doing this. So I think that's enough about me. Why did we do Inkish News? And it's not because of what they think in printing impressions in particular, but it's one of the things that I realized when we started Inkish TV. It took some time before people, of course, knew us. It took some time to be seen as a media because I think we are a little bit different than some of our friends and competitors. But one of the things that was a little bit of a surprise to me was the overwhelming wealth of press releases we got from vendors and PR companies. And as I could see that most of our colleagues brought these more or less unedited on their platforms. And as we don't sell advertising, I was like, we can't monetize from it. We can't add much value to them. So why don't we just make a platform where people can basically create either press releases or publish existing press releases or even create articles themselves? Because we are just a 5-person company, so we don't have the resources to do that. So the idea was basically to have a self-publishing platform, which Inkish News is. But it was supposed to be more like a platform for all the product releases, something like that. Then we realized quite soon that both PR companies and vendors are not so eager to get more work. I think we're all busy. So basically what I realized was that it ended up being almost mainly a blog tool where we wrote, or some of the people that we have are working with are writing. But of also a few organizations and a few vendors. I think we have about 100 contributors on Inkish News now. And it has developed into something else. And that has given us a lot of encouragement to actually do more technology development. And that is also what I'm going to show you here shortly. I mentioned that we don't have advertising. So why can we offer a service that is free? Well, basically, if we look at how Inkish works compared to some of the other media, basically, if you set up a payment wall, for example, it will reduce the number of readers and viewers. And we didn't really want to have reduced numbers. We wanted to have increased numbers of readers and viewers. So we had to consider something differently. So we thought that all the content we do, from webinars to films to text to newsletters, everything is a driver that drives traffic to Inkish, the Inkish universe. It can be on LinkedIn, it can be on Inkish TV or Inkish News or anything else that we are involved with. So we see our content and the content created as a driver, and we see it primarily as a driver for more knowledge, more information, a learning experience for PSPs and for the people in the industry, basically. And what we want to do with that, with those people that are driven into our sites, we want to offer different services. I want to show you one service that we have brought to life in a moment. It's actually a free service, but just to give you an example of what I mean about services. But think of this as service. It could be it could be education, it could be tools that help a printer in how they can optimize their business. A lot of different things, but I will show you in a second. And then we see ourselves very much as a technology company. So a lot of the things we're developing have APIs for it. We have developed some really hefty APIs for example, digging into a huge paper database. Then we also have technology that is specifically in relation to GDPR. For example, when you use our services, we never send out an email without you specifically have asked for it. And I will also show you how smart we are with that in a second. Also, when you use Inkish News and Inkish TV and register as a PSP or as any industry people, your name and your data will not be on the website. We have stored them in a separate database where only you have access to that kind of data. And we have always the idea of minimum number of data stored. So that basically means if you want to have a newsletter, we basically only need your email. If you want to create an article, which I'm going to show you, you will have to fully register because you are responsible for the content you create. We want to do engaging technology. All our services are also responsive, so it works on both mobile devices and web platform. We try to be very innovative. We also try to be scalable. And scalable, if you think of this for a second, when you spend a lot of money on technology, maybe at some point it could be really interesting for people to actually take our platform and use it, let's say in the automotive industry or in entirely other industry. And if we can replicate our services into other industries where we are not the content creators, but somebody else is doing it, we can basically share development costs, developing even more interesting stuff. So that is a little bit about how we try to also drive things. So I will do a demo in a second, but I just want to run through this slide as well. There is, in all content creation, there is a writing process, of course, and you typically maybe use Word or Pages or Google Docs or anything like that. You can actually also use Inkish as a writing tool, and the logo below is Grammarly for those of us, including myself, that are not perfect in English. Grammarly is a service that has been developed and not by us, of course, but has been now being used by a lot of people and becoming better and better. And in these days where we're talking AI, this is an example on how AI is helping us formulating relatively good English text. You can choose whether you want to have an American or a British English dialect to it. So basically that is something that we use. And if you use Inkish News and you have installed Grammarly Desktop on your Mac or PC, basically Grammarly works when you're writing articles directly in Inkish News as well. So that is just one example of how that could work greatly together. Then on the design phase, yes, we are not InDesign. We are not a fantastic design tool, but we are integrated to Unsplash, so you can have direct access to a lot of free photos if you want to have that. I will show that too. I think it's pretty nifty, and when you see it, I think you will like it too. Then we have the distribution. When you register, you can basically make sure that all your content gets into our Mandrill, which is the backend of our mail delivery services. What is important to think, some people may use MailChimp. Mandrill is the backbone of MailChimp. So basically it is a very well secured kind of data and trusted to send emails on behalf of a lot of people. So that has a very, very high likability of getting through to the customers without ending up in spam. You can integrate so the articles are automatically distributed to LinkedIn and to Twitter. I will also show you the Twitter part in not so long time. And then we have a translation service. I actually should have put in two because we have actually three, because there's a service where you translate yourself and publish it in numerous languages. Then we have an AI by IBM. It's not very, very good, but it's not very, very bad either. I think it's a little bit better than Google Translate. But the great thing about using these automated services, basically you still get all the articles in your backend of Inkish, and then you can ask somebody who can proofread it, which will you save a lot of money. or we offer also a human translation service where we have people that speaks natively and are involved in the industry. So I think that's pretty good. First of all, you need to be registered in order to, I hope you still can just confirm one more time, that you can see, you need to register. Basically, you register, you can see if you log out here, if you're already a user. Just hang on a second here. You can see you get a sign in here, and in the sign in you have an email, a password, I'm not a robot. And if you want to sign up as a new user, you can do it here. So I will just do like this, and then I should be in a second. Okay. Editor. And now you get to the dashboard, and I would just spend a few minutes here before we go on, because what is important when you have registered is basically that you click on settings here. Here, first of all, you can fill out your entire profile, upload logo, upload, basically I can show you here as well, because when you register, you can decide what kind of user are you, because there are different services depending on what kind of user you are. And especially if you work with other customers, or if you are in an organization where more people need to see what you're working on, you can share Inkish News articles before being published, and you can even write on behalf of somebody else. So that is, of course, relatively important. Under account setting, you also have a very nice thing. I can see here, if you have managed other accounts, you just say request another user. And let me just invite Henrik Lassen, and his email is Inkish TV. And if I click on send request, you don't have to answer it, Henrik, but basically you can see now, and it's pending. And you can have as many as you want. And that basically means that when you write an article, you can say that I do it on behalf of Henrik, I do it on behalf of Morten, I do it on behalf on whoever you are working with. So that is also something that a lot of people are using and like, especially if you work as a PR company, for example. Then under service settings, you can see that you can now authorize Twitter and LinkedIn. And the way you do it is basically you click on the authorize, and then basically it opens, as you see from so many other websites, an authorization page that will open Twitter, and basically you confirm in the Twitter app that you will allow me to post on that site. And you can see here for a second, I can show you how that looks. So basically, you can see that when you post an article, we don't spend so much time on Twitter, so we don't have many followers right now. But you probably have, and many people maybe use it. But basically, it posts the photo from your app. It has a little short of your thing. You have a link directly to the article. And when you post an article, you can basically add as many mentions and as many page names as you want. So you can use it to share it in a quite large number of Twitters, of course. Then I spoke a little bit about the newsletter subscription. The newsletter is, in my mind, a little bit something that we're a little bit proud of here. So I want to show you a little bit here from scratch instead. Let's say that I want to go into to my own newsletter subscriptions, and I use my private mail. So you can see, as I said, you of course you need to enter an email to get a newsletter. Doesn't make so much difference from anybody else, but when you click subscribe on it here, you can decide for yourself how often you want it. And here, this is the categories that we have when you write an article. So basically, if you have written something about offset printing, you could say that I would like to subscribe to offset printing or digital print or events, for example. Then you will get newsletters that are only with that. You could also say that if you don't really, because I think all of us are a little bit sick and tired of getting too many newsletters, so we only want newsletters that are relevant to us. So you can also say that I am interested in Canon. And then you will only receive a newsletter if the word Canon appears in an article. So it's kind of like a clip service from the old times. And when you do this, you can do it as complex as you want. You can have, I say I would like to follow Hunkler, for example. And then you can see it looks up in our database that there is a company called Hunkler AG. So now Canon, if the word Canon shows up in any article, regardless of who's publishing, it will. If Hunkler is publishing anything, it will also show up new thing. And if you at the same time say that I would also like to have things from Morten, you just click editorial. So you can see you can filter this down to something that is really tailored to what you want. And the result is that we don't. When I wrote to you that in the presentation of this today, I wrote that we have 30,000 newsletter subscribers, which we do, but we never sent out 30,000 newsletters in one go. Sometimes it's 200, sometimes it's 8,000, sometimes it's 15 or 17,000, because it depends on the mix of the words and the article published. So you are pretty sure that if you write something that has a relevance to your audience, it basically gets to them with this. We have, on average, we have an opening rate of 27%, but a lot of the open rates we have on the articles is in the range of 60 to 70%, which is unheard. And I believe it's only because we don't have advertising. You only get it when you want it, and you only get content that is relevant. This we have built ourselves. This is a service that Inkish is offering everybody. So basically, I think it's pretty cool. And you can, of course, manage this also from the back end. So you can always unsubscribe, or you can always change your preferences if you want to do that. And the newsletter you will get, it looks like this. So you can see it's the latest articles, but it is also the latest videos from Inkish TV. And here you can see what categories you have signed up for and how often. And if you want to change settings, you can go directly from the newsletter to do that here. You can also see that we have all the upcoming industry events here. And basically, in the last session today, I will show you how you do this to add them, because you can add all your own events as you want. And they are clickable. So if you click on this one, you can see it opens the calendar. And it opens the pop-up here about Hunkler Innovation Days. And if you click on the event itself, it's essentially an article where we have taken the content from Hunkler's page here for registration. But basically, you click here to register. And if you have some event details, you can see it starts on February 27th, ended March 2nd. And basically, when the date of the event has passed, it automatically takes it out of the newsletter, but of course keeps it on Inkish News as a filing kind of service on archive. So that basically means that if you want to send out information about events, you can plan them way in advance, and then basically they will be added to the newsletter all the time until we are basically at the event. So this is just, I think this is a pretty cool thing to do that. But let me show you how you make an article. That is one of the things we want to show here. So in the dashboard, you can click create, or in the menu from the front page, you can click create. It does the same thing. It opens 4 options. You can either do a design based on a previous article. It can be anybody's. You can do a video, so you can use it as your own kind of video platform if you want to. And you can also create from templates. We have a few templates, or you can create something from scratch. And I will click on the create new. What you see now is basically our editor, content editor. And you can do a few things. Let me show you how I use it the most, and then I will show you a little bit more complex. I always start with an image. And then I basically say I can either link to any image I would like to have. So let's say I go to, I made an article this morning again about Bandpack again. And then I can add a link to it and open a new window if I want to. And now you can see that it has changed the photo easily. I can also, if I click on the edit, I can say I only want to have a section of that image applied to it. You can see then it scales to the window. Or I can say that I would like to just write binding machine. And basically now it will start looking into, apparently binding machine has different meanings in different parts of Unsplash. But let's say printing, for example. Let's see if it is a little bit more. Let's say that is relevant. You have seen this photo in many, many places because Unsplash is becoming. So now you can see you have added a photo, relatively easy. You click on the photo, you see there's a little plus. Now you add what you want. I would like to have a headline. So it's Here you enter your headline, and you can have a subline here, basically saying about how to create an article. And when you finish with that, you take the paragraph, and basically you see it's extremely simple to add elements to the thing. If you want to have a video after here, you just click on this one. You can have a map, or you can say, okay, I add a YouTube. Then when you click on it, you click on the settings, and you have the link to the YouTube film, and then it will be part of the article. Maybe you also want to have a quote. Basically, you can see here, there's one type of quote here. But let me just delete everything here, because maybe you don't have time for doing something that is, well, I wouldn't say complex, but a little bit too complex maybe. So let's just start from scratch again. You could, for example, in the menu here you see it says snippets, and you can see there's a lot of kind of predefined things. But if you click on basic, you can basically pick an article type and say, I would like to have an article that looks like this. Okay, I had two. I was stupid because I deleted the last one. I shouldn't have done that. So hang on a second here. I just create again. And now I'll go to the basic menu, go to the article. I just pick anyone, and basically you can see here it is pre-formatted into what you want, or if you want to have something differently or put in between, you can basically add these to it. And it makes it extremely simple to make something that looks pretty nice and has a pretty good reach to and ability to add photos and do things with it that looks nice, still within the design of Inkish News. So it is, I think it's great. If you click on the preview, you can see how it is in different formats. So you can see on a mobile phone it would look like this, on a tablet it look like this, on a web browser it look like this. So you have these kind of previews of how your content will be shown actually. When you click on save, now it's time to say, okay, we call it new article. And you have a short description, blah, 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 blah. And here comes the categories, that is the ones that you also subscribe to in the newsletter, as I spoke to you about before. So let's say it's inkjet about this. You can say that if you leave it blank here on publish date, it will be published right away. If you say that I want it to be out on the 25th at 10:00, and I want it to be in Bratislava time zone, and my name is Morten, that is mandatory. And I wrote the article in English. Now you can even say that I would like to write the same article in French. And now you can just see there's zero. It says there's 147 words. It doesn't have any cost because you basically do it yourself. And you can do that in that way. You can also say that I would like to have the computer translating it. Now there is a price to it because IBM charged for the service. Or you can say that I would like to get this human translated, and I would like this to be both in French, and Portuguese, and Dutch, for example. And then you would have a total price of 22 euros. And we have a turnaround time a little bit less than 24 hours, typically on most articles. So basically now you have something that can easily be used as a very good service for your customers if they are not native English who you're talking to. Just to give you an example, you can see that the languages we serve on Inkish News, it is not a translated page. So if you go to the French one, and we don't have a lot of content in the other languages, I will admit that. But basically you can see here that, I said that I would like to see the English articles as well. And now I'll just pick just French. So now you can see that it's been a while since there was something else, but this is webinars that we have done in English, in French as well. And if you click on, I think in Dutch, you see that. So it's different articles because we have actually a few people from the Netherlands that are using the service to publish information. So it is, again, we want to be global and we are a tiny company, but we try to build these services so they can easily be used for something that is relevant for hopefully everybody. So let's just skip the translation now. And here, when you write an article, it will always be tweeted on Inkish News. But let's say that you want it on something else, let's say English TV, or you want it to be on your Twitter this, then basically it will come on all the Twitter channels that you have picked. Here you pick the cover photo. You can even attach PDFs, Word documents, Excel documents, so you have that as part of your deliveries. We have a few people that have, when they launch new products, they have put in the brochures and added to it. You can hide your contact details, because if it's you personally, maybe you don't want only the company details. The send as press release, I will get back to you in a second. Countdown is only available for me, so I will not do that. And then you basically click here that you have read the terms and agree on it, and then click Save and Publish. In the second you click on this one, I will get notification and basically check. We allow everything that relates to the printing industry. So if it's not relating to the print industry, or if it's written in another language than indicated here, we will not approve it. But otherwise, it will be approved, and we will let the customers and the readers decide whether this is relevant for them in any way. So I think that is hopefully relatively easy to comprehend and understand what you want to do with this. Otherwise, I'm here to help if we can. So let's get back to the webinar. I will just go to my presentation again and just continue here, because why is this worth your time? I think, and you are allowed to disagree, of course, but I think Inkish has become a trusted source by many. And of course, if everybody can write on Inkish, we can end up in a situation where we are not trusted. But we have, I think that I remember one person wrote once to Henrik and said, why has only 116 people read my article? And when I read the article just to check whether there was something wrong with us, it was a bad article. I think that, to be a trusted source is also like, okay, some articles have relevance and are interesting. And the reason why we wanted to make it into like an article archive is because press releases, it used to be something where the editors took the press release and basically curated their own content based on it, because that was the kind of the models you did before the internet. But today, where you basically just bring press releases, they are not read by many people, I can tell you. And I can also tell you that a lot of the information that are delivered in press releases may serve a purpose, but it's not like in-depth information about something. With English.NEWS, you can basically write as much, publish to as many as you want, and build an audience that can drive traffic to your own website, which I also come back to in a second. Then I hope also you believe that it's relatively easy to use. So it's not like rocket science. It's a little bit more complicated than Word, but it shouldn't be too complicated. I would say that it maybe looks, for people that are using MailChimp, it looks relatively comparable to MailChimp. We have a lot of highly automated processes that ensures that your content gets to the people that are supposed to have it. And I think our tools are relatively smart. And just before we continue, I want to show you one of the things I promised you before. I want to go to, let me see, I go to English TV. But we have a service here that is, I just log in first here. I'm still not a robot, and there's a few crosswalks here. And of course, that was one of the times where they really think I should click a lot of times. One of the services we have on English TV, and basically, by the way, your login credentials are the same for both English TV and English.NEWS, so you only have to register once, of course. But here you see a little symbol, and that is actually one of the services we offer. In many ways, it's a very simple service, but let me show you anyway. Here, it's a weight calculator. So I say I would like to have 1,500 or something. I would like to have a perfect bound product. I can either select a pre-format, or I can just add my own format. And I want it to be a 6-page cover. I want it to be on some gloss-coated paper, and the flap, because it's 170 millimeters width, I want the flap to be 100 millimeters. And I want some paper in the range from 250 to 350. And now I go and say I would like to find paper. And here we have a database with 40,000 types of paper. And basically you can see this is all the gloss-coated papers that are in that range. So I would like to have the balance gloss here. And then I would like to have it as 192 pages with some uncoated paper, let's say somewhere between 80 and 90 GSM. And this time I take something from Arctic paper. I take a amber graphic. And now I just calculate it, and basically you get the weight per book, the total weight of the 1,500 copies, and you have a spine size of 11 millimeters. And you can say, yeah, that's what we do in the printing companies every day. And yes, I have worked in printing companies too. And either you do it on average bulk values, or you have to look up in your paper merchants' websites to find the bulk to calculate it rightly, or you have to basically ask somebody else to do it. Here, it is the exact values delivered directly from the paper manufacturers, and you have a service that is, I mean, I don't think this is something that competes with anybody in the industry, but we have an API for it. So let's say that you are a printing company or a print manufacturer, and you want all the papers to be automatically added to your printer instead of adding some kind of file and have a dynamic integration. We have an API for it. So just an example of a service where we actually believe that I think it has a huge value to all the things that we have been talking about here. So we try to be relatively relevant with everything we do. And I'm a little bit in a hurry because I talk a lot, but let's see if I can get things going here. The next thing is how to publish a press release, because one thing is that you can write an article, but many of you may actually use either PR companies or use press releases as a part of your communication to many people in one go. So you may not have time to actually do a press release or as an article on Inkish. So here is maybe the simplest way you can do it at all. And I will not show you this slide because we are upgrading, of course, the mail parcel that we're using for this today. But I thought it was finished today, but it was not finished yet. But here, basically, you send an email to pressrelease@inkish.tv. In the topic line, you here have an example. Bobst connects the dots between packaging 4.0 and industry 4.0. And now you have a URL. And that's all you have to do. And let me show you what that does. Because basically on, let's say I go to English News again. And you can see here is a button called Press Releases. And the moment you click on it, it has automatically taken the photo from Bobst's website. It has taken the headline I gave it as a subject line, and it has automatically curated the first few sentences from that landing page. If you look at all the press releases that you deliver to our friends and competitors, they are in their newsletters and on their websites. It's always a matter of driving traffic to their websites because basically that is their business model. But if you click on this one, it goes directly to Bobst or whoever has sent it in. So here is an example where we say that, okay, since we don't have a revenue model where we care about it, but we actually want our readers and viewers, think of them as drivers, we want them to get to your information first instead of having a stopover at some media landing page. So basically this comes out directly to you as the owner of the content. So instead of only making a newsletter, you basically create a landing page on your website, and then you share the link to that landing page, just writing to pressrelease@inkish.tv and add a headline and just have the link to in the body. And basically you can see how it looks great. I mean, it does not always look good because basically it curates it automatically from the content that you have delivered. But you will learn and figure out, and we have made so that it tries to avoid logos, it tries to avoid if there's small pictures of people or the LinkedIn icons or all these kinds of things. It always goes for the largest photo because we assume that often the largest photo is the one that is relevant to the content of the press release. So just a great example. And the press releases are, of course, also added in our newsletter. So if it relates to anything, it will be sent out to any of our newsletter subscribers. The last thing I want to show you before we are finished for today, I showed you just before to write an article. I just want to show you one little thing here, which is in the same area. Let's say that I create from a template, and let's say that I would like to I want to make a use of a template event. Now you can see that it is the same as it was before, so you can do anything you want with it. So let's say that we want to do an event about a webinar. What happens? You can see there's a few, so this is one of them, right? And we say it's Monday, 14th, 15th, 16th. You just add here, January 16th. How to use a webinar. And then you have a link for it. I don't have any links, so I'll just say English. And you could have a LinkedIn profile. Looking good. And then you can have like, this is a super event, blah, blah. And now when you say save, everything is the same as you saw before. The difference is now you pick the calendar event, and suddenly you can see a few more things pop up. So it was Monday the 16th, it was at 10, and it ends Monday the 16th at 12, for example. And the location is online. You could also give it the URL, and you want it to be published right away, and it's Morten, and it's done in English. And when you post this one, it automatically, I just don't want to post because this is a live one, but it will go directly to our newsletter as I showed you before. So here you can see again, we have all the events, the upcoming event. So it will come here and stay there until the date has passed. And it will also be in the calendar here. So if we have published this one, it would have showed up here, and you can have different views of the thing here. And it would have like this pop-up, and then you can basically see the event going on. You could also make it will also show up as an article. So it will be also an article, a calendar event, part of the newsletter. And the only thing is missing, which we will develop soon, is also an option to add it to your Google Calendar, Outlook calendar, whatever calendar system you're using. So we believe that we have created some really nice, hopefully very nice tools and services that make it easy for people to communicate. And all of what you've seen is free, except if you want to have translations. That is basically the only thing that we charge for in what you have seen today. So now I will just see if I can figure out how to get back to you guys and sharing here. And this was Inkish News in 45 minutes or so, even with some few technical hiccups. And I can see that I have not lost too many of you, so I hope that is a sign that this is hopefully interesting. I think and I hope that you find Inkish News engaging to work with. I of course also hope that you find Inkish as a company and as a media engaging to work with. I think we try to do things a little bit different. I think we call ourselves like the industry 4.0 of media, because I think it is about engaging with the people that are seeing and reading the stuff we do. We have, and I think you know that we always try to have a very unbiased perspective, so we don't favorize any vendors in our communication. We also try to be very open-minded to new ideas and to basically everything that we see, because it's extremely important to have a voice, in our opinion, a voice in the industry that dares to say what is needed, right? Any questions? Please fire away. We still have a few 15 minutes if anybody has any questions or want to see something again or something in particular. So take it away if you have any questions, please. And this is where you wanted to use Zoom instead, because then we could actually talk. I actually thought that we could talk, but I'm not sure how we do that. This is the new platform we are trying out. So besides that, I couldn't figure out how to share my screen. I think it went okay. I hope you agree with me. Doesn't seem to. Okay, I will check with Andrea next week and come back with questions. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Thomas. That is always great to get that kind of feedback. We basically just want to, as I said before, make it possible for everybody to communicate with through a kind of a media outlet that has a lot of people. All the 30,000 people that have signed up to our services are organic. We are not acquired or purchased any lists or anything like that. So I'm actually also pretty satisfied with that numbers from that perspective. I could show you actually one thing that is something I forgot to plan. I just want to show you. I just share my screen because I just want to show you something that is actually quite nice. I just forgot to show you something that I also find really cool. That's an Inkish TV. If you go to Inkish TV and you slash, for example, Germany, you can almost any country in the world. Basically, what it does now is service. Let me see if it works. It's waiting for Inkish. It says, okay, here it comes. It has now a few photos, maybe not so representative for Germany, but anyway. And then it has taken all the updated text about Germany from Wikipedia. And then if you click on films, you will be able to see all the films we have done in Germany, which is quite a lot, of course. And if you click on print media, you will get a list of media in Germany, which is also pretty cool. And if you click on vendors, the vendors that have registered on Inkish, you can basically see them here. We started considering a few years ago, we started thinking about, okay, what happens if let's say a customer that wants to print with anybody and lives in Germany or Denmark or Norway or how do they actually find people? And if you do a Google search in most countries, the only pages you get is the big online printers. And there is more to the industry than just the online printers. So, and with all due respect, if you click on the printers, you get the location of the printers that have registered. Since we have not published this service so much, it's not that much so far, but you can see it is starting to work. If you look at federations, you can see there's DFTA and BVDM have registered for the service we do. And basically, if you just change the URL, you can easily get information from the countries that you might be interested in. And we will, in 23, we will initiate a very in-depth collaboration with some really interesting companies to encourage many printers to register. So you basically can not only see the locations and the data of them, but also at some point see what kind of environmental services they offer, because we are focusing on how we can actually share information to the consumers about how to buy green. So I just think it's pretty cool. So I just remembered it. So I just wanted to share it with you. I hope you like that too. Press releases also goes into the newsletter, but they go as a more like just like a text. It's like the headline and a link to it, because the problem is that as we don't have the details, we don't know whether it's digital print or offset or labels or whatever category. So that will be sent out to everybody. The issue is that if we want to be true to our mantra of being able to support people's wishes of only having the newsletters they're interested in, we would need to know what kind of topic. That is actually one thing that we're thinking of in 23 to develop, saying that when you post a press release, you may get an email back saying, thank you for your press release. And then you can pick the category afterwards and make sure that that can be used as we do it for articles. Because basically for us, it's a matter of getting the content out to the relevant people. So we don't spam people, but we give them the information they need. Yes, definitely. You can definitely rewrite a press release and publish it as an article, and then it will come up as an article in the newsletter. Otherwise, it will just be a link to with the headline. You're right. So I hope it was good. I hope you liked it. if you have any questions whatsoever, reach out. My email is here, and my is here you are. Thank you, Danielle. It is a great tool. I use it daily and I love it. So, of course, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. So great. But you're more than welcome to reach out both on email and WhatsApp in case you want to have a more personalized demonstration or if you have any questions.